Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Gordon, Director of New Accounts, and I'll be moderating our webinar today. We're very pleased to have you join us for Pop-Up or Perish, and we're very excited as well because the holidays are here and in full swing. So very, very good all the way around. We've got some radical things to say about the current state of retail pop-up, and the word perish might be a tip-off. We also have some practical, tactical advice on how to make your retail pop-up really pop. With that, let me jump right in and introduce the team who will be speaking with you today. They're both innovators and influencers in experiential marketing and pop-up. First, we have Bradley Daves. He's been creative director at several top New York agencies where he helped redefine the concept of interactive marketing. Bradley was creating pop-up experiences before we even thought to call it pop-up, and has crafted inventive and thought-provoking brand campaigns for more than 85 Fortune 500 companies and retailers. Next, meet Michael Decker. With over 20 years in the business, Michael knows how to create memorable brand moments. He has led award-winning marketing and communication efforts for international retail, health, CPG, beauty, and hospitality brands. You've probably seen some of his work for MetaFast Weight Loss, Sweet and Low, Matrix Biolage Hair Care, Barnes & Noble, the Waldorf Astoria, and Foot Locker. I know you guys have some provocative things to share, so let's get started.
Great, thanks, Chris. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for being here. We're going to do our best to make our time together worth your while. Michael and I have had an insider's view of this pop-up thing for a while, and what you hear from us will be the unvarnished truth. And that's why I feel obligated to start things off with a public service announcement. Physical retail is not dead. I repeat, in-store shopping is not dead. Okay, granted, it may not be as healthy as it was 20 years ago, but who is? Physical retail has taken a beating over the last several years, pummeled by web grooming, cowered by e-commerce, distracted by delivery challenges. I won't lie, it's been rough. Yet physical retail perseveres. Sure, many brick and mortar retailers with large footprints are finding themselves challenged by the short-term pressures of sales growth and the long-term positioning of their businesses. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Physical retail incumbents have one surprising advantage over their online competitors: physical stores. Now, there's no doubt that online shopping is a way of the future, but it's not the only way. The Census Bureau reported that U.S. e-commerce retail sales in the first quarter of 2016 accounted for only 7.8% of total retail sales. Why isn't that number higher? Because shoppers have realized that they love physical stores. They seek tactile, emotional relationships with the brands they love. Shoppers may conduct product research online, but they need to see and touch and connect with an item before purchasing it. This is an enduring and powerful need, one so strong that I believe it brought physical retail back from the brink. When the shopper realized that she could have both the convenience of digital access and the soul-feeding satisfaction of physical retail, she jumped on it. A study by MasterCard found that 8 out of 10 consumers now use smartphone or tablet while shopping in store. And Forrester predicts that cross-channel retail sales will reach 1.8 trillion in the US by this year. So the physical retail shop is not dead, but the terrestrial store that does not forge and nurture an all-encompassing, meaningful relationship with the shopper will be. The shopper now demands actually, a brand experience that is satisfying and friction-free. Call it omni-channel, call it holistic, call it 360-degree marketing, they're the same thing. A seamless, personalized, and comparable brand experience regardless of platform or channel. Robin Lewis, CEO of the Robin Report and a former executive at VF Corporation and Women's Wear Daily, said it best. We are right now in the middle of the biggest, most profound transformation in the history of retail. The online players get it and are jumping on board by jumping offline. The shopper connecting power of the 360-degree marketing experience has not been lost on digital retailers, who are now actively seeking innovative ways to converge channels. They realize that connecting online with in-world is critical to creating satisfying, relationship-building, personalized shopper experiences. Online sales organizations like Warby Parker, Bonobos, Gemmy, and Frank and Oak have all created physical spaces to enhance and extend their online presence. Even digital giant Amazon has gotten physical. The company added 30 terrestrial locations last year and is looking to expand that number to 100 over the coming 12 months. So clearly, both digital and physical retailers must put serious thought into redefining and re-energizing the shopping experience. To succeed, these companies must become agile enough so that they can continue to reinvent themselves over and over again. They want to react and pivot based on what's happening in the market and in the heart of the shopper. Now, I may shock you with this, but retail organizations are not always the best pivoters. When I say big box store, I'm pretty sure your immediate response isn't super nimble. The current need for retailers to shift and adapt in real time is in large part why the use of pop-up is surging. Retail pop-up is all about agility and pivoting and nimblosity, which I'm pretty sure is a word. That's why it is now the most vital tool in the retail marketing mix.
But it wasn't always this way, Bradley. Back in the day, a pop-up was simply a flash sale, a quick way to move some merchandise. San Francisco merchant Joseph Marver upped the ante in the 1980s when he turned his dress shop into a more lucrative costume center during the month of October. By the way, Marver later sold this business to Spencer Gifts, and they grew it exponentially. Those are the Spirit Halloween stores we see all over the place now. At about the same time on the East Coast, Party City also realized that Halloween was a huge draw for customers. Since then, the company has programmed its entire retail cycle around Halloween, not Christmas. Pop-up retail was a smart option, but it was just that, an option. That's not the case anymore. Retail brands must pop up or they will perish. I know, very dramatic, but you know what? It's also very true. The 80s were a long, long time ago. Heck, the 2000s were a long, long time ago. I don't have to tell you guys this. It's a whole new game. The rules have changed, and it is the shopper who makes those new rules. So, how did she get to be the boss of us? The new empowered shopper is the result of a perfect storm of accessible digital technology, narcissism, social media, mobile proliferation, endless information, selfies, millennials, of course, citizen journalism, and a wildly expanded worldview. And at this very moment, this enlightened shopper is browsing in your store and on your website. She is judging you and actively influencing your future brand equity. So who is she? As a person, I mean. Medallion Retail did some research exploring buyer personas. We talked to thousands of shoppers and discovered that each primarily falls into one of 8 customer types. First up is the advocate. Representing 8% of the shopper population, she is your brand enthusiast and early adopter. She's a true believer. She's an influencer. She loves to make discoveries and then share them with everyone she knows. For her, being first is mandatory. Next, we have the caretaker. Comprising 18% of the shopper population, the caretaker has to justify her purchases, spending as little time and as little money as possible. They are minimalists. For them, good enough is, well, good enough. Thirdly, I want you to meet the indulgent. If she wants it, she will buy it. She is an impulse shopper who buys with her heart. If there's a must-have, she will have, and will worry about how to pay for it later. These retail thrill seekers make up 18% of all shoppers. Here we have the student. She wants to think about a purchase and read about it and study it and talk to a few friends and then think about it some more. Documentation and details drive this slow to buy 10% of the shopper population. Here we have the conventional, 9% of our shoppers. She is a consumer who plays by the rules, traditional and thoughtful. She will follow the path that a brand sets for her. The mechanist is our 6th shopper, comprising 17% of the shopping population. She loves to work the system, to find the deals and work the angles. She likes a challenge, and her passion is to manipulate a situation to her best advantage. 10% of shoppers are gradualists. The customer who buys on her own terms and only when she feels a real need. She will not be rushed. She takes things one step at a time, and she does not like to be pursued. And then we have the final 10% of our shoppers, the sophisticate. She operates from a position of rationalized indulgence. Self-focused and discerning, the sophisticate is allergic to cheap. She believes you get what you pay for, she demands quality, and she's quite happy to pay the price. She also wants and demands your undying devotion.
The sophisticates and all the other shoppers desire something else as well: meaningful brand interaction. Price alone is no longer enough. Service is no longer enough. Neither is quality nor convenience. Meaningful retail engagement is all of these things and more in whatever combination the shopper demands at any given time. That's all. At one point, the retail experience was the answer, but consider that now, the experience, in this era of the demanding shopper. From the perspective of someone who desires a relationship, an experience can start to seem vague and clinical, cookie cutter. Even the word experience feels sterile and disconnected. It holds no emotional weight and seems to completely ignore the concept of personalization. Not like a shopper moment. We devised the concept of the shopper moment as the logical evolution of the retail experience. Shopper moment isn't about size, it's about the size of its impact. And there are no clocks ticking during a shopper moment. What matters is the weight of the memory it creates. A shopper moment is emotional. It's a conversation. It's relevant. And we chose the word moment deliberately with very specific intent. A moment transcends time. It speaks to an interaction that is satisfying, poetic, soulful, maybe even a little romantic. Suffice to say that a shopper moment is way better and way more effective than a retail experience. And clearly we're passionate about this and could go on, but we're here for pop-up. But if the shopper moment intrigues you, we'll be presenting another great webinar that breaks it all down. And if that sounds interesting, let us know and we'll get you signed up. So yes, to quickly recap, in-store is not dead. Shoppers like physical stores. Shoppers became empowered and more demanding. A retail experience used to be the answer, but that's no longer enough. So now it's all about the shopper moment. And the ultimate shopper moment, it's the pop-up. And see how we brought that back around?
Think of the retail pop-up as the material manifestation of that shopper moment that Bradley just mentioned. It is a physical setting, but it's also a mindset. The pop-up is the place where a brand's digital and in-world personas meld, creating a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. Retail pop-up is attitude amplified. A moment-centric pop-up must do 6 things. Here are the rules. It has to evoke emotion. The pop-up should serve as a connection, an invitation, a provocation, a promise. Think heartfelt and memory tapping. Here's a shot of the Indie Wed pop-up bridal shop. I will tell you, life does not get any more emotional than at weddings, and Indie Wed did a phenomenal job bringing their unique business model to life in the physical world. Second rule, retail pop-up must reflect meticulous planning. It is a major undertaking where details matter enormously, and the big idea is to seem intimate. Definitely worry about the small stuff. I wanted to show you guys how Tiffany built this pop-up in London and spared no expense whatsoever, covering the big things like their incredible iconic blue box, but also the little things like the custom gilt railings at the entry, as you can see.
And it makes perfect sense in that beautiful detail is such an inherent part of the Tiffany brand. So of course we see it come to life here.
Yeah. All right, every pop-up must be driven by a single measurable objective. We're going to have a lot more to say about this in a few minutes. But the next rule I want to talk about is great pop-up will surprise and delight. The goal is to astonish the shopper, disrupt her routine and astound her. Give her a real moment, make her smile or laugh or wonder, and give her something to talk about. And tweet and pin and share and like and snap and whatever else is coming. All right, let's take a look at Zagat's Tiny Cafe, which provides a what I'll call microscopic versions of New York's best rated, most Instagrammed meals. It was very surprising and very shareable.
And it links online and real world in a totally unexpected way. And it's physical proof that a big idea doesn't have to be physically large.
Yeah. The next display is a pop-up Globe Theater. It was built in New Zealand and was designed to exact Shakespearean proportions, much to the delight of its classical theater patrons. And speaking of tweeting and snapping, rule number 5 says that the perfect pop-up will feature a robust social media component. Give the shopper authentic reasons to care and to share. Empower her to get the word out. Build in physical opportunities for selfies and real-time reporting. Strategic social media components will expand the impact of your pop-up exponentially. That's why more than 90% of brands use more than 2 social media networks. Great example of this is the Gatorade Fuel Lab, which was at South by Southwest, and allowed its visitors the opportunity to sign in, interact, and share their experience via touchscreens positioned throughout their exhibit. Another great example, Kylie Jenner's much anticipated pop-up in LA and New York was a Vloggers with a V, Vloggers Paradise, with special invitations to well-known vloggers that generated lines around the block and back.
And this was at the time Kylie's latest brand incarnation, and I think she's planning another multi-city tour coming up. But this was all about the Kylie Cosmetics launch, and every bit of it was driven by social media, and it was an insanely popular pop-up. And fun fact is fans stood in line for about 14 hours, and they had a no leaving rule. So once you were in the line, you had to stay. Yeah, so Kylie's tough.
Kylie's tough, and the Jenners have truly mastered the game of social media.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. All right. Finally, I want to express that great retail pop-up must be temporary. How can they miss you if you never leave? Just make sure to leave them wanting more. Harness FOMO, the fear of missing out, is very strong. Limited time only is a powerful phrase that can get your shoppers to buy. This example here is brought to you by Converse, who created this temporary mobile pop-up made from a 50s house trailer to reinforce the great, amazing heritage of that brand. They were making sneakers when sneakers were called sneakers. Next one I want you to look at is Puma, who stylized a temporary pop-up with Ferrari from a shipping crate to showcase its fast, cutting-edge style. Here today, gone tomorrow.
And you can't get any more symbolic of temporary than with a mobile home and a shipping crate. So there's some pop-ups that are not looking to make a sale. In fact, a lot of them are not even hosted by retailers. A pop-up event is theater. It's entertainment. A pop-up is a show staged right out there in the middle of life. And it's not just for stores anymore. Your competition is no longer solely from the retail sector. Tech companies are opening up temporary spaces to demo and promote their products like eBay and Snapchat. Wellness organizations like the Heart and Lung Association are using pop-ups for screenings and to generate awareness. The Colorectal Cancer Association invited folks to walk through an anatomically correct colon. Now that's a memorable learning experience. Homeless activist group, The Street Store, transformed alleys and side streets into hangouts and distributed free clothing. Hip new restaurants, luxury spas, and artisanal bars are popping up in all the most unexpected places. And so are celebrities. Just last year, Kanye West, Justin Bieber, Frank Ocean, Drake, and the aforementioned Kylie Jenner hosted limited time only shops and events. Take that as inspiration. It's important to expand your view of who and what your competition is and to understand the larger context in which you are creating events. Bring your A game because you know Kanye will. The man is awesome at pop-up, partially because his confidence and audacity levels are off the charts. But it's also due to the fact that he knows exactly what he wants before he begins. You need to as well.
Okay, so far we've talked about why you should do a pop-up. Now we come to a bigger question. Why would you do a pop-up? This isn't about semantics, it's about objectives. The biggest mistake brands make when creating a pop-up is not having a clear, singular reason for doing it. There are all sorts of bad reasons to do pop-up, like the other guys are doing it. It looks like loads of fun. There are a couple of bucks left in the budget that have to be used before the end of the fiscal. Or, I know a guy who has this space. The CMO has decided that pop-ups are in this year. I got to tell you, there's only one real reason to stage a pop-up. It's to create a shopper moment. And to make that moment resonate and to see some good ROI, you must have a clear, measurable objective. Consider any one of these 6. The first, build a brand. With a pop-up, you create an opportunity to redefine your narrative and fine-tune your brand story. You can experiment with tone and positioning and monitor responses to shifts in brand presentation. I wanted you guys to see the Heineken Lounge, which was also built and displayed at South by Southwest. It was 360-degree theater, a way to showcase the brand with video plus product samples to raise perceptions with movers and shakers and influencers in the audience.
And I really love that they use their signature color as an additional messaging device. I think it just kind of envelops the space. I think it's really smart.
Yeah, immediately recognizable. Okay, the next one is Target's Holiday Wonderland, which had lifted the curtain on holiday plans for 2016 in October, and they didn't get one complaint. It was that good. Let's look at Pantone and Sephora, 2 unlikely partners who put together this joint promotion called All About Color, each simultaneously boosting the other's brand presence in this highly unlikely pairing of a B2B brand and a consumer business. Okay, a second potential objective, introduce a product. What better way to showcase a new offering and educate the shopper about its value than to build a pop-up event around it? Check out this hysterical Coke mini launch. And sampling pop-up event that provided incredible stopping power, all with an incredibly great sense of humor.
I think this works because it's just elegantly simple, and it's funny, and it's surprising. And I love how they're taking, the idea of Coke Mini literally. I think this is really great.
Yeah, me too. All right, let's go to the next one, and I will show you that it was impossible to ignore Snapple's white tea introduction. They did it via high-flying balloons in New York City's Bryant Park to elevate perceptions at high tea. I know for fact that this is one of Bradley's very favorite pop-ups.
It is. That's me right there in the middle. We had huge crowds flying around and sampling the new tea. I had to actually wait to the end of the day to actually get my turn.
Because you were elevated and you were probably high.
It was high tea. That's right.
Now.
All right. This next one I want to show you is the next generation of Hello Kitty. Pokemon and some of the other brands that we have grown to love. It's called Line Friends, and it was launched in the US with this very beautiful pop-up store. You could barely notice that it was a pop-up. It was that well done. Okay, let's go to another objective, and that is to test something. The pop-up is very fertile ground for information gathering. You can use it to explore new geographies, test concepts, discover new audiences, experiment with new formats, or investigate potential partnerships or sponsorships. Think of the pop-up as a lab to gather qualitative and quantitative intel. Good example of that is celebrity chef David Chang. He lent great credibility to a private label brand which you may or may not be aware of, called President's Choice, or PC, in testing at the PC Insiders collection. And I also wanted you to see Hulu, who effectively tested its newly proposed lineup by letting its visitors watch what they like, which turned out to be a win-win for brand building, but also for their research department.
It's I think it's another example of making something tangible out of what is usually a digital interaction. And with this kind of pop-up, Hulu can gather all sorts of data, demographic, psychographic, anecdotal, on both the program and the brand experience. I really love this one.
Yeah, me too. This is one of my favorites. All right, let's talk about a fourth possible objective, and that is sell something. It is completely valid for a retailer to want to stage a pop-up in order to move some merchandise. That's ultimately why we're all here. And UGG did it by popping up in malls where they had no permanent presence, but wanted to. So this was a great testing situation for what they could sell. Another example is the Bauble Bar, which pushed the must list of merchandise in a pop-up store that was very hard to differentiate from its permanent store neighbors. Okay, your next objective could be to create some major buzz. There's nothing wrong with attention. Just make sure that you want to just make sure that you clarify and control your message. Then throw open the doors to traditional and social media. So here we have RuPaul's second comeback, which coincided with her season premiere of Drag Race. The show lifted the pop-up, and the pop-up lifted the show.
And I could do a pop-up that works thing here, but it doesn't make sense if you don't know that I'm spelling works with an E, which I am.
Which you are. Okay. This next one is David Lloyd Fitness Clubs, and they're based in London, and they ran an incredible promotion called Run for Your Bun by serving healthy lunches that you could only pay for with exercise. It created an absolute media sensation.
Yeah, it's kind of like singing for your supper, but sweatier. This idea is a brilliant buzz builder. You can imagine the TV guys and vloggers reporting from their bikes or being challenged by their cohorts back at the studio. I think this is a really clever idea.
Yeah, me too. Okay, let's say maybe cementing shopper relationships is your objective. Remember the power of exclusivity. Create an invitation-only event and watch the brand love grow. Adidas is masters of this game, and they created this VIP theater only for its most devoted fans with Adidas-inspired music and videos. And another example, once again, is Target. This time with a look at their interior during the holiday time. They gave its mom shoppers a safe and memorable moment for their kids at its Wonderland pop-up.
And every time I see this picture, I marvel at the extremely clean-looking ball pit. And if there's, anything mom loves, it's a clean ball pit. It does.
Absolutely. Cleanliness is godliness, without a doubt.
There you go.
Well, that's it for the objectives. These are the only objectives the retail marketer should consider when contemplating a pop-up. And you need to choose only one, well, maybe two, if you can stage things right. Think about it. In marketing, like in life, when you try to do too many things at the same time, it can be chaos. Nothing really gets done. It is critical to focus on the why of your pop-up. Make your objective clear and measurable. Get input, polish it up, articulate it clearly, and get it accepted across the organization. Only then should you start planning the best pop-up ever. Landing on the right objective can be tough, though. It takes concerted effort, and it begins with asking the right questions. An outside partner with unique perspective can sometimes help here. Let's look at some of the questions we ask our clients at this stage in the process. First, big one, what is your marketing objective? Remember, the marketing objective is different from the pop-up objective, and both are different from the business objective. Know them all and understand how they interrelate. Second, who is your target shopper? Why? Who else would you like to reach? Third, what is the critical message you want delivered to shoppers? What do you want them to remember, appreciate, tell their friends? Fourth, what tone and voice does your brand want to or need to speak in? What is your perceived personality? Is that the one that you really want? Fifth, what is your budget? You have to face the dollar question eventually, and it's best to do it early on. And sixth, how will you measure success? What will success look like? What will change as a result of this pop-up? These are the most important questions that drive our conversations with clients. There are a few more, and if you'd like to have the entire list, let us know and we'll get that right out to you.
Okay, so where are we now? Pop-up is great. The competition is crazy. Kanye can't do anything. A clear objective for the pop-up is mandatory, because that objective is really our starting point. Now that we know what we want to make happen, we can throw open the doors to themes and formats and concepts. This is the fun part. This is also the part that trips up a certain kind of pop-up maker, and I'll just come out and say it, the fraidy cat. Not standard marketing terminology, but it's an apt description. Pop-up is not a game for the faint of creative heart. Shopper expectations are high and only gain altitude as time goes on. You've seen what brands are doing out there. Much of it is truly amazing because it challenges the status quo. This is the time to find your inner risk taker, your inner Kanye, and set him free. Be bold, be thrilling, maybe be a little scary. At this stage, there's no reason not to. And here are some tactics you can use to uncover the ideal idea. You can change the game. You can mix up the rules, make up your own. Then you can go ahead and break those as well. Nice example of this in Spain. Kids were missing out on the tradition of playing football in the street because of expansion of urban sports facilities. So Nike created laser projected pop-up soccer fields for these guys, and it brought to life their anytime, anywhere campaign. And they were literally and figuratively all about getting into the game.
Yeah, this one literally provided street cred to the Nike brand. Love it. Just love this.
Yeah. Another way to find some new ideas is to remix and reinvent. Is that a dressing room in the center of Bryant Park? Why not? Am I looking at a mashup of a yoga class and a petting zoo? Maybe. And this is a real thing, by the way.
Yes, this is goat yoga.
Goat yoga. I love goat yoga.
Unbelievable.
Another way to find some new ideas is to tap into unlikely sources. What perspectives and personalities would be unique in your brainstorm session? And invite those people in. The same faces at a brainstorm again and again, it gets boring. The energy level drops, but put some kids at the table and things will almost vibrate. I've done this several times and I love getting the perspective and the brutal honesty that only a first grader will give you. Another way to find some new ideas, rip off social media. Go to the front line of human interaction and see what people care about, how they're expressing themselves, why they're mad, what they think is cute. What happens when meme meets pop-up? And you can see here, all roads lead to Kylie. We see her now at a Samsung event as the poster child for social media interaction.
Yeah, and you can look, if you look very closely, you'll see her jealous sister Kim right behind her.
She's always in the picture.
Of course.
Another way to find some ideas is to go ahead and stalk those celebrities like Kim stalks her sister. What are the rich and beautiful people doing? What about those guys on YouTube walking in the rain wearing those horse heads? Famous means something different now, and famous people are influencers. Stars are those who make noise and share amazing, unexpected, sometimes dubious talents. How can they fit into or help you create your pop-up? Another way to find ideas is to become a student of pop culture. Know what is happening right this very minute and what will be happening next month. Create trends. Why not? Everybody else is. I think pop culture happens in moments, and a big moment in music took place last year when a tribe called Quest dropped their final album. The group made the moment even bigger with invite-only meet and greets and a gig on SNL and a pop-up shop for merchandise and music. And it was their way of saying goodbye to their fans. So a big part of the idea creation phase is deciding on what format your pop-up will take. There are 5 types. The first is mobile. Put your pop-up on wheels or skis or behind a dog sled. Retailtainment in action, just make it move across town or across the country. The mobile pop-up is ideal for brand building and buzz creation. Kate Spade is a big believer in pop-up. It seems like the brand is always out there with something, and they make mobile look beautiful. As you can see here with the stairs down and the scene dressed and lit, we have a legitimate high-end boutique.
Yeah, I love this one. And you can see Kate Spade brought mobile pop-up to an even more granular level by including a scooter that I can't imagine her insurance company was too pleased about with that decision.
But nobody says no to Kate. So
that's right.
Spade can
or
do whatever
scooters.
Or scooters. All right. Another type of pop-up is 4-wall. Find an existing space, move in, and start interacting. It's cheap and cheerful. This approach is great for moving merchandise, obviously, and in cementing relationships, maybe with an advanced VIP sale. You can see here that the pop-up designers are using the rawness of the space to provide a background for simple and beautiful clothes. And the juxtaposition works really, really well here. And obviously, it's going to save some money, too. Okay, the third type of pop-up is site-specific. Consider what's unique about the proposed pop-up space and the neighborhood in its relationship to your brand. What structures or sites can be repurposed in a completely unexpected way? How can your brand be a great neighbor? The site-specific pop-up is ideal for brand building, creating buzz, introducing a product, and cementing relationships. A great example of this is Lush. He is an artist from Melbourne who's known for his public works on streets and walls and subway trains. And his style is confrontational and provocative and humorous and challenging. And he tries to provide some social commentary in his work. And where he displays his work is part of the work itself, like this alley. This was his kind of poke at traditional galleries, and he was also making a statement about buffing, which is where they go in and cover over the graffiti. And as visitors made their way down to this alley space, all of his art was for sale, but they needed to buy it before a couple of guys came and buffed everything out, including the pictures that were there. So he was kind of using his work and sacrificing his work to this particular cause. So he's kind of a great example of taking your message to the place it will be amplified the best. And I think this alleyway art gallery is really smart.
Yeah, and as you can see, Lush himself in the on the left side of this photo is doing a mean impersonation of a badass security guard all at the same time.
He's great.
Yeah.
Another quick example is this motorcycle gear being exhibited and sold in a renovated garage, and it's perfect. It's man cavey. It's a great background for the product and a great interplay of hard and soft, and it works on all sorts of levels. I think it's really handsome. The fourth type of pop-up is event-based. Tie into an existing sporting or entertainment event and share the spotlight, or create a happening of your own where magical shopper moments rule. Event-based pop-ups are ideal for brand building, introducing a product, and testing. Three great examples. The first is Fashion on the Farm at Bonnaroo. This is Live Nation, and Fashion on the Farm created these much needed cooling stations at the festival. Another nice example, another from South by Southwest, obviously the place to be to see great pop-up. The makers of Oreo set it up where you could go on Twitter to suggest whatever flavor sounded good to you, and then watch the machines actually kind of 3D print your cookie. So there's a lot of things happening there, but it really kind of hinges on the crowd that would gather at South by Southwest. And the last is a quick look at a L'Oreal Paris Who Do You Want to Be studio. And it was timed to New York Fashion Week. And it was a pop-up spot away from the crowds of the tent. Guests could get a styling or a blowout. And it was an opportunity to freshen up for the next show. But it was a way for L'Oreal to be part of the happenings without actually having to be on site. So it was a pretty strategic partnership. The fifth type of pop-up is the specialty build. It's often the most impressive and most expensive option, but it makes a huge impact. These pop-ups are the eye-popping spectacles, the movable Nivea shop, the Sprite refreshment station, the McDonald's lunchbox, and the diesel radio. This pop-up style can be designed to serve any of the 6 objectives.
Okay, good stuff, Bradley. So we've talked about the 6 mandates of a great shopper moment-centric pop-up. We've shared some thoughts about clear objectives and how every pop-up must have one. And we've looked at the 5 types of pop-up in general. All that's left is to tell you what retail pop-up will look like over the next few years. But of course, we cannot do that. I'm sorry.
Oh.
No one can. And that's one of the most exciting things about tomorrow's pop-up. Retail marketers are realizing that there are very few limits to the concept. They also know that they have to aggressively and continuously push the creative and the experiential, because other brands beyond retail are setting the bar higher and higher every day. So no, we are not able to see the overall future of pop-up, but we have identified 5 influential pop-up trends that we believe will help shape that future.
First up is greater emphasis on the pop-up as a destination. Think lounges, garden spots, libraries, welcoming places to relax, recharge, or meet up. The branding will be subtle, but it will be quite clear who is providing this oasis to the shopper. It's a great relationship building approach. Take a look at the Glad Feelings store. Viewers were invited to lounge in one of 5 interactive areas designed to embody the emotions associated with Glade scents. Stepping inside, you can see the different areas for lounging. The vibe is low-key and calming. Even the decor is understated. A mural made from Glade candles is the centerpiece, and it's kind of quietly beautiful, which I think is the tone they were going for. A second trend that will impact pop-up moving forward is what we call co-shopperation. Over the next few years, we'll see more and more dissimilar brands partnering to create pop-ups that promote a lifestyle rather than a range of products. Imagine Williams-Sonoma working with Patagonia on a pop-up event that celebrates the campsite gourmet. Etsy's partnership with Whole Foods, a great ongoing example, provides a physical site for Etsy, gives the artisanal vibe that Whole Foods wants, and the interplay here is about online and in-world, and it's I think its simplicity as part of its intelligence and meaning there.
Yeah, I mean the point being is that they share what I'll call earthy authenticity. And as Bradley said, one is an online play and one is an offline play. 2 very different business channels that are very tightly aligned.
Yeah, and that authenticity is absolutely the kind of red thread that connects it. Another quick example is Captain Kith, and this guy is Ronnie Feig, and he is the king of the sneakerheads, and he loves 2 things: shoes and cereal, and he created a place where these 2 spheres of culture kind of connected. He created a pop-up called Kith Treats because he's never allowed to have sweet cereals as a kid. He made up for lost time, so he created a pop-up that had 24 different cereals and 5 types of milk, and it was served in a specially designed shoebox. And when you start to think about it in that context, it begins to work.
Yeah, I mean a sneaker designer and cereal. Who knew?
Yeah.
But what they share is a quirky coolness and appeal of millennial and Gen Z shoppers.
Absolutely. I mean, it's different ways to look at pop culture, and I think that that's why we'll see more and more different kinds of companies pairing up in really interesting ways. Another trend we can expect to see is expanding the physical footprint of the pop-up. It will no longer be just about the interior of the space or even its facade. In a bid to extend the shopper moment, brands will utilize guerrilla tactics, street teams, postering, environmental art, and different installations to broaden and strengthen the level and quality of the engagement. The fun spills out onto the street at this Curl's Best Friend pop-up that Benefit did. It uses costume brand ambassadors to draw attention and engage visitors before they even step into the salon. So this creates kind of, your event starts as soon as your shopper sees these women and that dog with looks like a roller in her hair. Oh,
that's right.
Okay.
Curls.
Yeah. All right, another quick example. It's a beautiful tree created by kids for a celebration at the Chattanooga Public Library, and they did a bunch of these on the walkway into the space. And I'm really not showing you this just because I used to work there, but
you really are.
But I really are. Yeah, this is all about me.
It's all about Bradley.
All about me.
Yarn bombing.
That's me. The last example here, skate brand Rip and Dip added its unique flavor to LA's Fairfax Avenue with a pop-up they did at Known Gallery. Inside and out, you can see here the space was a showcase of various artwork installations that brought Rip and Dip's brand icons to life, statues, animatronics, furniture, and this multi-story mural that could be seen from blocks away.
Yeah, so Rip and Dip is just creating a huge, very physical presence that's taking the brand well outside of the store confines.
Absolutely. Further integration of social media is the fourth trend that will shape pop-up moving forward. And already an integral part of great pop-up, social media will be used in new ways to facilitate deeper and more meaningful interactions between shoppers and a brand. New technology and new ways to use established technology will have impact on the physical design of the pop-up. Imagine designated selfie stations, mini stages for live feeds, facial recognition filters that are available on shelf, video walls to showcase shopper snap stories and to crowdsource opinions and selections. This is going to be a huge trend. A couple of quick nods to that. Obviously, we're into cereals and snacks. So to help get the word out about its new foray into savory snacks, Kellogg's opened a dedicated store in London where folks on Twitter could trade tweets for treats. And this was one of the earliest examples of social currency in action. Another great example of kind of baking the social media into the pop-up experience is Marc Jacobs' Daisy fragrance pop-up store in Manhattan. Again, no money changed hands. Shoppers bought products with tweets or Instagram photos and Facebook posts by using a shared hashtag. And again, very simple and straightforward, but it had huge impact and played off the idea of using shoppers to promote your brand and your event. Okay, the fifth pop-up trend speaks to the shopper who is concerned with the world and the people she shares it with. She will have a point of view about social and environmental issues and will respect and support those brands that share her perspectives. More and more retailers will have to articulate specific positions on issues and not be afraid to make them public. Pop-up will allow these brands to test causes and messaging before making them a permanent part of the brand persona. This 16 by 20 foot stand, kind of a quick and simple example, was made entirely of repurposed cardboard boxes, tubing, and packing straps by the San Francisco Department of the Environment and a coalition of local coffee shops. And it was a focal point that distributed free coffee to commuters who brought their own cups. Again, simple, straightforward, but definitely going to grab a lot of attention. Another example are Sprite Spark Parks. They are refreshed outdoor spaces. Sprite worked with local youth and art organizations to build and restore recreational environments where community members can get outside. The brand partnered with LeBron James to kick off the first phase of the program, which was about improving basketball courts. And then, as you can see here, the effort expanded to creating larger awareness of local street artists and their work.
Yeah, I mean, improving parks is always good branding, and then connecting with local artists offers a really great hip factor as well for Sprite.
Mm-hmm.
All right, without a doubt, pop-up is a mandatory part of the retail marketing mix. I hope we've proven that to you all today. We'll just leave you with this. Shoppers want a meaningful connection to your brand, to the products they love, and to each other. They desire the most fulfilling shopper moment possible, one that offers monetary and emotional value. That's what pop-up retail delivers. Good pop-up retail. Customers shop with their brains, to be sure, but also with their hearts and their hands and their imaginations. The shopper doesn't just go to the store anymore. She engages with retailers for the opportunity to seek and discover and socialize and dream and hide and laugh and learn and basically just be appreciated. Pop-up, when it's meaningful, well executed, tangible, and satisfying, gives her all of that. Today in retail, it truly is pop-up or perish.
Okay, great guys. A lot to think about. And thank you, Bradley. Thanks to you, Michael, and thank all of you for spending some time with us today. We hope you find what we shared both provocative and valuable at the same time. At this point, we'd love to hear what points resonated best with you or answer any questions you have. So don't go away. And actually, we have a couple already in the queue. And I encourage you to ask more by simply typing them in the box and shooting them over. Let's see, here's our first. Let's see, we create and market productivity apps. Should we do a pop-up? And I'll kind of turn this over to you, Bradley. What do you say?
I think you absolutely should. I think we saw some good examples of making the intangible tangible with Hulu or a Snapchat, and creating an experience around what the interaction is with that particular app or piece of technology. Along that line, Netflix recently did, to launch their new season, they did a hotel where guests could stay in any one of 12 themed rooms based on all of their shows so that they can binge watch the show. So you could go to the Stranger Things room, which looked like the Stranger Things house, and watch however many hours of Stranger Things. So creating a memorable, talkable experience around your technology and the experience it offers, I think is always a smart way to go, and it really helps people understand what you do and why they should engage with you.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree. My answer is, of course. You know, we see a tremendous migration of e-commerce to physical retail via pop-up, because there's really no better way to demonstrate how an app, for example, might work than by bringing it to the street level and presenting it face-to-face, hand-to-hand to your potential customers. We see it all the time.
And it's almost a throwback to back in the day when a selected group were invited to beta test technology, and there was always a feeling of being in with the in crowd and an early adopter and all of that. And I think it's really interesting to see these technology brands kind of doing the same thing, but throwing the doors open wider so that more people can participate.
Yeah, it eliminates their greatest weaknesses, which is it adds a certain amount of humanity to their product and warmth.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, we have just one more here. All the examples you showed look really expensive. Is there a way to do pop-up on the cheap? Michael?
Sure. Pop-ups will let you define any budget. I think we touched on that a little bit in the presentation. It's often much more about how you can present a unique and powerful idea. We preach nimbleness. We preach the ability to experiment with pop-up and to fail fast. So I would say there should never be any budget stress. Yeah, in looking at pop-up, because you can design around almost any budget.
And I would just add that big ideas are free. Those things that stick with the shopper, the sights and the sounds and the interactions, that's what really kind of makes the brand moment. And they don't cost anything. Think about the Coke Mini example we looked at. It was smart, it was simple, it was memorable, it was shareable, and I can't imagine it cost a fortune to do it.
Right. Okay. Well, it's interesting. We actually have one additional question that came in from one of our audience members here today. And it is, what do you think of multi-brands and co-branding with pop-ups? And I guess that may kind of tie back into the point, Bradley, that you had made about co-shopperation, possibly, but I'll let you kind of take this one for right now.
Sure. I mean, I think it's about looking at products and experiences and brands through, I guess, through a lifestyle context. The shoppers now are looking for an experience. It's harder and harder for a single brand to deliver that. So you're looking to create a mix, and I think it's about leaning into contextual marketing, and you're not, it's not just providing a product, but it's showing them how to live better and more fully and with more impact and with more joy and with more value. And it really means stepping back a little bit and looking at the shopper as a person and figuring out what your brand and other brands can combine to give her.
Yeah, I would also say that the best marriage of two brands would be to share their audiences with each other and boost each other at the same time. It's a fantastic way to introduce your brand to another whole world of shoppers that maybe you couldn't reach by yourself. And it's kind of one of these, united we stand type opportunities. You have to be careful when you choose a brand partner. You have to complement each other and not detract from one another. You have to stand pretty much for the same thing, but at the same time, that can happen while you're reaching two entirely different audiences that can be brought together, and you can multiply your effect very quickly. And very efficiently in that respect.
Really, if you do go 1 + 1, you can equal 3 if it's the right association. It sounds like.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right. Sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for that question very much, and thanks to all for all the questions that we've had. I think now we've come to the end, but once again, thanks for being part of the webinar. And if you have any further follow-up questions, you can always shoot me an email at chris.gordon@meetmrpopup.com. One kind of final note I'll say, I hope we've demonstrated that we're passionate about pop-up. And please think of us as a resource. We can help tighten your strategies or be a sounding board for your ideas. And as I say, you can feel free to drop me a line anytime to start a conversation. One final, and I mean it this time, final thing, if you'd like to see a replay video of this webinar, or wish to share it with a colleague, I'll be sending you a link tomorrow that you can easily view or share. That really is it for now. So without further ado, have a great afternoon. Thanks again.